Sunday morning, we're taking the tram out to Kadriorg Palace, which is now an art museum, and to a forest cemetery. Then a walk back through Rotterdam to my hostel. I'm in Kadriorg now at the castle. Apparently it's where the tram dropped me off. It's where I pick it back up, I guess, but I'm going to walk back, I think. It's only about a 20-minute ride. The great thing about the wealthy who were able to sequester and control and pay for such beautiful surrounds is that they inure to us in a later age of enlightenment. You can imagine the wealthy one and powerful one who is here being paddled out in some little boat to his island where he could sit under his cupola and enjoy tea and even more seclusion. I don't know anything about this man yet, but that appears to be the allusion to railroad tracks behind him. Mobbing me. Imagine a gala event with an orchestra playing in the center for the guests who roamed about. A permanent entertainment center for kids, maybe some adults, somewhat deflated. A statue of the man himself. Heroics of war. The all-powerful warrior. I wonder if all of these panels somehow reflect this man's life. There it seems a panel devoted to the arts, a panel devoted to the trades. Blacksmith on the left. Stone cutter to the right of him, woodworker perhaps to the right of him, and the man in the center directing, perhaps the statue man. This looks like they're building a structure with coped logs. My guess is that this floral arrangement is just a simplified version of what may have existed, particularly when you see that round feature down there that has nothing in it but is a raised center. A little circus or fair, and then this permanent installation for kids. This is Sunday. You would think that soon this will become a mobbed area, particularly since 80% of the population does not espouse any kind of attachment to religion or even a higher deity. Big boulder is interesting. Has to be a story behind it. Loop down here a ways and then hook around to our left up onto that knoll, then over to this garden and back down in this direction. Maybe a metaphor for the safety of Estonia and perhaps Latvia and Lithuania. This purse, which was dropped or abandoned, hung up here for the owner to hopefully run across again in their search. It'll probably remain there unmolested, who knows how long. The park originally looked like it extended into that fenced area there, but doesn't seem to be accessible, at least not from here. That fence, it was something they were trying to protect. Major sports complex through here, large tennis club that we passed that way, and there you can see large, looks like well-maintained soccer courts as well as a running circle. Started down in the middle where you see the orange circle and walk down to this lower part. So we're going to walk back up probably along the right side of the long oval park and do a loop around that and stop by to look at the palace, which may be a museum and you may have to pay to go inside this because the art museum, but I won't do that. And then we'll walk to the southeast to this red air balloon, which is the forest cemetery, roam around there, work our way back into Tallinn. Second large gray boulder I've passed, and they may just be erratics from the Ice Age 14,000 years ago. No idea what this building is in the park. But we'll continue this way. Impressive old growth, I suspect. Erratic. This is the layout of this garden. I expect it is yet to explode in color. An outstanding feature. Don't know what this area is used for. Maybe just the park, but that's too much wide open space not to be used for some purpose. Certainly if you live nearby, this is a phenomenal amenity, not to mention that the whole area seems to be tranquil compared to any city, including Tallinn. One of the most beautiful treed arbors I've been in. My guess is that it once was duplicated over there, but something happened and those trees have been replanted in the past and they're trying to grow up to the same stature. Guess is that this whole area would be ideal for craft and art fairs and maybe other kinds of human gathering. Interesting little cubicles with an exit to that walking aisle. Residential area. Great location. Statue being refurbished. Don't see any nomenclature on it. Going to be pretty when it all blossoms out. Quiet on this Sunday morning. This is the office of the President of the Republic of Estonia. Rear view of the building. I don't know if it's okay to video, but they can't see me because they're behind the poles anyway. Various flags. One this side and one 3 over their flag. They're a beehive. We'll walk this way just because of the novelty of having a field on the right. Then we'll cut to the left and do the outer portion of the big park. This park is kind of interesting because it's more like the actual woods, except for, of course, that road. But also I'm kind of following a diagonal, looks like an animal trail, but I don't think it is, through the woods, which makes it even more intimate, shall we say. Of my trail, quote unquote, is a drainage ditch, but that's okay. I am doing is stirring up hordes of mosquitoes. Having fun. We're on to the little nature spur. Fun to see some of these butterflies. I love butterflies. Beehives. This is part of the drainage system, but it is a pretty water feature. It's going to have to wait a few decades to pick up some ambience moss and algae. But they're doing a great job of making a very pretty space with these little ponds. It faintly reminds me of some of the Japanese gardens that I visited. sign suggests that it's trying to emulate a Japanese garden. I'm going to exit the park now because I can see the Baltic Sea ahead of us, and I want to explore that statue. That's the ferry from Helsinki. This looks like a ship, a engine-driven ship with a sail assist. Typical 1800s, correction, 1900s, late. It might be floundering. That might be a huge wave busting over it. This may indicate a tragedy on the sea. Those cruise ships are astounding. They're like a traveling city. The distance, this looks like a fortress on that point. The sand beach that you can reach in less than probably 20 minutes from anywhere in Tallinn. It's cool, breezy here on the Baltic, but after one of their winters, probably feels quite balmy. Ferry came in, spun a 180, and is slowly inching its way back into its berth. What scares me about cruise ships is their vulnerability. I'm sure it's because of my ignorance, but one is their very, very high dimensions, which has to put the center of gravity higher than it would be if they weren't there. And it seems to me the potential, the vulnerable potential. I mean, a small Chris-craft power boat with a missile launcher in it